Hey, everybody.
What up?
So we had a little bit of a snafu with the time today. We were supposed to start at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And in Arizona, we don't turn our clocks back. We actually change time zones. So the computer kind of messed up there. And well, I guess I'm the one that messed up, right? The computer just does what I tell it to. So I scheduled it. I think what happened when I
picked Mountain Standard.
Yes. And I thought that it would stay with Mountain Standard Time, but it stayed with whatever.
My mountain. Oh,
with
no.
Your mountain. Yeah.
No, with the old Mountain Standard before the daylight savings.
Yes. So we're starting early, and let's see who all we have in the chat. Melody with Big Wagon, Let's Dig It. Hello. And hi there, Garden to Table with Heather Lynn. Thank you for joining us. We have LeeAnne here with us today from Mennonite Farmhouse.
Hi. Thanks for having me back.
We're happy to have you.
We did that good, Lisa. We were right on key, right on tune.
Tammy, do you want to wait a little bit and see who pops in? I see the notification just went out, and I know we'll probably have to explain again what happened so people get it.
Yeah.
And by the way, spring is forward an hour, not fall back.
Oh, yeah. Spring forward.
Fall back, spring ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And no sleep in between.
South Dakota has, well, they've been fighting it for years, but South Dakota is getting a little further with it. So we may be like Arizona soon.
Oh.
Hi, Vanessa. Hey, Moments with Vanessa. Good to see you, neighbor. We'll wait another minute or two to allow other people time to join.
Vanessa, you're so sweet.
She is a doll.
She said we look beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, I gotta put it on real comments, not private chat. There we go.
And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, because I showered. Literally just got out of the shower a little while ago.
It's the 5G
it was
connection.
So beautiful. It was so beautiful out that I had just washed sheets. So even though it's windy and cold and my fingers are numb, I hung them outside.
Awesome. I love how sheets smell when they get to dry outside.
I love all my clothes outside.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Well, my mom always hangs out the clothes outside, and being on a dairy farm, it's not so fresh.
Oh,
yeah. So as a kid, I get picked on all through school. I was even sent to the nurse's office to get coached on how to have better hygiene from my parents not washing their clothes good. So why was I sent to the nurse's office and not my parents?
Man, that's rough.
Fifth grade.
What the heck?
And I'm sure you lived in a farming community, which makes it even worse.
Yeah.
But, well, my school, half were farmers and half were professors at the local university.
Yep.
So, you had those with their nose up in the air.
Hi, Kettle Kitchen. Thanks for coming.
Hey, Tony. So, yeah. Stories of my life.
I had that. So I was one of the kids who had to get up and get herself ready in the morning when I was in, like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. My mom was already gone to work. We were latchkey kids. And one morning I had taken a bath and used some bath oil in there and washed my hair in it. So, of course, I was greasy as heck when I went to school.
Oh, no.
And the teachers were asking me, what's going on with your hair? Hey, Yeah, I was a
Hey,
really
LP.
little kid. I didn't have anybody to do my hair or anything. Like I was with my two brothers. Like,
Nowadays, you can't be a latchkey kid because you'll put your parents in jail.
oh, I know, right? Yeah, my
I
oldest.
grew up in New York City, and they didn't close schools because of latchkey kids.
Really?
Schools
Yeah.
stayed open all the time because otherwise there would be a lot of kids at home. Hey,
Wow.
LP, please email me as soon as you can because I want to pass that on to Country Mama today because I know that she lives in a really rural area. So I know she was planning to go to the post office, and I try to be mindful of that. Thank you.
Hey, Nick at Arizona Highland Homestead. How's it going, neighbor? Are you enjoying this weather we're having or what? It is beautiful. And I don't know if you saw my goats yet, but you're close. If you know anybody who wants a goat, let us know. My daughter's bottle feeding all of them and they're driving her nuts. She's so ready to rehome them.
Hey, Tina Ladybug. I hope you're doing well and safe. Texas had some really brutal storms.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Hey, Tina. Hey, Cajun Hydroponics. Arc Wildman, thank you so much for coming.
Why is it when I can't find that one card? I guess I'll make one up.
Hey there, neighbor Great in Alabama.
Hey, AZ Highland Homestead needs.
Okay. Do you?
Yes.
He loves it when people watch his channel.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So go watch his chickens and everything else, especially the one with the veterinarian on there about how to prevent, disease in your flock. Very informative.
Mm-hmm.
Very informative.
He needs,
Yep. Yep. How close are you, Nick?
Hi, Uncle Al.
Hey, Uncle Al. I hope you're doing well today.
Once we hear from Nick, I think we could probably get started and you could explain what's going on because there's a bunch of people in here.
What I did. Hey, Cindy. My high desert friend. Oh my goodness, you are so close, Nick. You got it. I'll be doing that.
Yep, likewise.
Mm-hmm. Altruistic Farmstead is pretty darn close too, and I've been trying to help them out. They're on my list today.
Pathways needed 9 last night.
Who did?
Pathways.
Oh my goodness.
And Country Mama Musings.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny's really close too.
Is she? Good.
She made it already.
Hey, Pam.
Nope. Hey, Blue.
She's hoping to have them by the weekend, though.
And hi there, Cherie. I'm so glad
that wakes up when it's time for 7Fs here.
Mm-hmm. All right, so here's the deal, guys. You all know we do these at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So little fun facts about Arizona. We do not change our clocks. We don't spring forward. We don't spring back, which means that we change time zones. So last week, or when I scheduled this, it scheduled it with Mountain Standard Time, but it scheduled it for Mountain Standard Time how it used to be, like without
the time change.
For the time change. So I've got to make sure I schedule it with Pacific Standard Time. So the notice came out that it was going to be at noon. And of course, here we are at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. So sorry for all the confusion. Hey, Frontier Survival. And thank you all so much for joining us. We have LeeAnne with Mennonite Farmhouse here today.
Hello, with the Princess Wave.
And Melody said thanks for the tomato seeds.
I wondered if she got them.
Have you guys seen all those tomato seeds that I know you have over at Wicked Awesome Gardening, Danny's tomato seeds? That is going to be so fun to watch. There are so many tomatoes I've never even heard of. I mean, I haven't heard of most of them. It's crazy.
I told her I shouldn't be voting because
that's what I'm
voting for because I just picked the names that I like. The only one I didn't know was Purple Cherokee, and I was like, pick those, but they're out.
Yeah, anything that sounded fun, or like there's some pink ones. I want to see those, and some striped ones in there.
Can you grow tomatoes by you?
Yep. I did pretty good with tomatoes last year, but I didn't get them out early enough. And so, well, what happened was I had a fail with my seeds. So I had to restart seeds. And yeah, that kind of slowed that right there messed it up.
I haven't even started my
Hey,
seeds.
G-Mom, Papa.
Hey, and thanks for moderating, Arc Wildman.
Yeah, thank you, Art. I love your cards. I need to make some of those, LeeAnne.
Oh, when you're on Gaz's live, you have a ton of cards.
Maybe not next week, but anyway.
I put down in the banner the 7 F's. We're talking about goal setting today and kind of checking in. And everybody, I want to encourage everybody who is following this goal setting journey with us. Since we're coming up on the end of March next year, it's the end of like our first quarter of the year, right? I want to encourage everybody to go back and look at your goals that you set in January and get a feel for how are you doing. We all have a little bit of a different way of checking in on our goals every week and marking things off. And sometimes things might stray, under family, for example, you have multiple things that you want to do, or under future, you've got, probably your garden, your preps, those kinds of things. And then you have all these little goals. So week to week, we're chasing these little goals. Hey, Texas Red Leg, thank you so much for coming. So we're chasing all these little goals, and it's kind of good to make sure you take that look back at least quarterly at those initial goals that you wrote down to make sure you didn't stray too far and that you're keeping everything balanced and focusing on what's important, guys, and not letting life eat us up and keep us away from what's most important to us. Go ahead, Lisa.
What if you had a change of plan? And
that's
so you went astray a different way on purpose, or not on purpose, but it worked out good.
Yeah. I say it's the whole thing about the 7 F's, I feel like it's our life. Like we're trying to run our life instead of our life running us. Hey, Anne, thank you for coming. And I feel like if we put our intentions into one direction, and then through further evaluation, maybe some trial and error, we're like, I think there's a better way. I feel like that's still moving forward. We thought we needed to go in one direction and we kind of halted and started moving in another direction. And I feel like that's a good thing. Do you want to give us an example, Lisa?
I had talked about growing hydroponically. I'm sorry, I have to keep looking. I have a bad bulldog over here.
Basil.
He's behind the pellet stove.
Oh, no.
Why don't you guys talk first? Oh, there we go. I got him.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry about that. Bad bulldog. He waits until I'm live. Anyway, I did the hydroponic stuff, and I then went astray in the greenhouse with some regular seed starting. A little rogue, because we are June 11th is usually our last frost date. However, it's usually first week in June. That's why I always say first week in June. But I planted a whole bunch of collards, spinach, Parisian carrots, radishes, Swiss chard, spinach, a whole bunch of different things in the greenhouse. I even planted a cucumber.
Awesome.
Because we have not had luck with cucumbers here. And so my goal was throw it in the greenhouse. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't grow.
Yep.
And then I'll start them again. But you know what? We've had really warm days and we have cold nights. So I'm going to keep it that way and see what happens. And if I get seedlings, I'll throw a heater in there for nighttime. But I figure, my goal is just how do we find a way to extend our season? Because I don't do the summer gardening. I help Ryan, but it's really his thing and I let him have it. But the hydro and the experimenting is all me. So, like I've been Melody at Bake Leg and Let's Dig It has known this, but one of the things I keep telling Ryan is get the tomatoes and the peppers started. and he's like, oh, they're going to get leggy. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're going to be fine. Just get the darn thing started so we can get them in the ground, earlier. So just trying to do that. So that's where I went astray.
Mm-hmm.
How about you guys?
I haven't started my tomatoes.
I haven't started mine either.
And you're in better climate than me.
Yeah, I started my broccoli and cabbage, and I've got carrots, and you guys have seen I've been trying to grow through the winter, hauling stuff in and out, and I'm really, really tempted. I keep talking about it, but I'm really thinking about trying to get my green onions out to the garden because I'm thinking they might survive, and they might even thrive a little more out there. Hey there, Life with Belinda and Chuck. Man, I love y'all's videos.
Yeah. And thanks, Pam. I'm actually, someone told me that I can take bricks and I can also put some other stuff in the bricks and do some insulation. But I actually think I'm going to do a heater. And the reason why is because it's a tiny little cheap greenhouse to begin with. I need room.
I'm afraid of a greenhouse out here. We get like 60-mile-an-hour winds, and that's fairly normal. I mean, we don't have to have a horrible storm to have those kinds of winds. It just rips through. I've seen it lift and move huge. Like people have gotten pergolas that I know, and I've heard them talking about how these things are like so heavy and they're moved. But you got me thinking, Lisa, about trying to build like a little mini greenhouse. Heck, even if I use one of my little clear bins, I don't know if I could put like a warming pad under it, but just something to keep them from dying at night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. There's so much you can do.
Even a blanket.
Even when we put our plants out for the first time, obviously we harden off our seedlings, but even when we put them out for the first time, we will plant them in a manner so that those square totes from the dollar store, we use them when we move, so we have tons of them. We keep them out in the garden because even though the last frost date, we tend to get some really cold nights. And what we do is we take the totes, and every day they go on, every day they go off, but the winds here too. We're having a windy day today. Hey, Cindy's place. We, the pallets that I use, and pallets are pretty hefty. So the pallets that I use on my hay crib get blown down. So my greenhouse probably weighs less than the pallet.
Oh, wow.
But we have it anchored and we do everything we can.
Yeah. Yeah. So you see my hydroponics light in the background? This is my little bitty corner. I got a little bitty corner. I might have to expand it some. I'm thinking about putting it possibly under the table that I sew on, which is like right here next to me. I was going to put it on the table, but then I remembered like sewing machine. Everything's going to be, when I'm sewing, it's going to be jostling around. So I might put it under it though. And I've got fabric down there. You know how it is, guys, when you sew that fabric. So I might move that fabric and set that up under there. That's one thought. But getting them started right behind me and just doing all my leafy stuff up in here. Yep. Hey, where to begin, Homestead?
I think like the biggest thing, and here I'll admit a faux pas that I just learned myself. The biggest thing is don't be afraid to do something. Like, so you do it and it doesn't turn out great. Who cares? You'll figure it out. Like, and that's the thing, the bok choy. I'm going to be really honest here, right? You look at the seed packet pictures and bok choy, usually grows like romaine lettuce, right? Sort of, it comes out at the top. My hydroponic jars, I'm sitting there yesterday and I'm like, why are they getting flowers on them? And I realize I'm waiting for something that apparently is not going to happen with these. So I need to harvest them today.
Oh, wow.
Because I was waiting for the shape, like, the shape like this with the leaves out the top, but little. No, they're going to seed.
Oh my gosh.
So we're having bok choy for dinner tonight. Lots of it.
Awesome.
But you don't know until you do it and you learn.
Exactly. And where we live, what we're all exposed to, we've got to learn to work within that. Cindy's place and I, we've been kind of chatting back and forth a little bit. Because we live in very similar areas. She's in the high desert of Nevada. Though I found one difference. Cindy, we got mullein everywhere up here. I'm going to share a video of it and how we use it. I feel like mullein is my friend. That, you know how you have anybody who's into herbs or foraging, you've got those plants that you just feel real close to and comfortable with. Mullein is mine. And do you know how you were just doing your hands, Lisa, like this? I have a huge mullein that I was harvesting from as I needed, leaves this last year. I mean, this thing was, it guys, it was like this. It was huge. The base of it was just it's just one of the, I can't wait. It's its second year, so it's going to have its shoot come up this year. And I'm so excited to see it. And I've got little mulleins growing all over the yard. But, anyways, when I was out there looking at it right now, because of the cold, those leaves have actually grown like cabbage style. It's trying to keep its little self warm. And I never noticed that before because I'd always, I was just out there, getting them during the spring and summer. But from being sick, because I was drinking a lot of mullein tea,
Mm-hmm.
I have like just a very few little bit of leaves left. And I thought, gosh, I really didn't harvest enough to get me through the winter. I'm going to have to do better about that this year. But yeah, it curled up like a cabbage. Craziest thing ever.
At home with Cherie. Yeah, I've never had things go to seed before I harvested when I do hydroponics because I make sure that I keep an eye on it. But the milk variety of baby bok choy was completely new to me. I've never grown bok choy at all before. And I saw Pam said they get the shape by tying it around. Yeah, I didn't know that. So needless to say, we'll be sauteing a lot of bok choy tonight.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question for you, LeeAnne.
We were already discussing it earlier before the live. Tony and I were. And we haven't found any guidelines that say you can celery by itself. Yeah. So there's a lot of YouTubers out there that say you can, but can you really safely can it?
I freeze dried celery and I have it in a bag and I'm leaving it because I don't want to look at it, but I'm leaving it for storage for a purpose. A lot of people apparently say that it is challenging to freeze dry to store it. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know why, because I've dehydrated it and had no issue. I felt that was my first batch of freeze drying too. So I want to make sure that I let it go. So
my husband said when I got some food freeze dried, he's like, why are we eating it now? The purpose of freeze drying is to preserve it for the future.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, you got a point.
Well, I did it just to see how, first of all, it came in my bulk produce, which is the whole reason why I grew bok choy, because a whole bunch of it came in my bulk produce box. Never had it before. And so, then somebody said to me, oh, I hear storing it is not that great. So, of course, this was my first time. Plus, I was learning the oxygen absorbers, and I think I screwed up with that because if they're out for a few seconds, they're bad.
Mm-hmm. You got to open the lid and shut it back really tight.
Well, and here was the hard part, right? I didn't know that. And I have a Mylar bag, and I'm trying to figure out my sealing machine for the freeze dryer because it was all brand new. So I'll probably cut it open soon and take a look at it.
You need to share that. You've got me curious how that's going to do.
I can share my bok choy if you'd like, but I don't have the celery yet.
Yeah, do it.
So,
hey, if anybody doesn't know, LeeAnne started a collaboration about what to can and what not to can. Life with Belinda and Chuck, I watched your video yesterday. I saw that you all joined in on that. It is the most amazing collaboration. Anybody who cans or is thinking about canning, hey, holy smokes, Lisa.
So the majority of them look like this. And awesome. I guess what I was thinking was in between here, I was going to get the little bulb, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is cut them and leave them growing and see if they grow back, because they should. Yeah. But I'm really going to cut them back. And what clued me in was they are not as green as they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
They were a very vibrant green, and I'm noticing leaves starting to, get light yellow or light green. So yeah, I'm gonna, like, this one here is a better example of it. Here, wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
You see this one right here?
Uh-huh.
It looks more like that bulb look to it.
Hey, I have a request.
Yeah.
When you go to harvest that, can you like video harvesting it, even if you just do it as a short?
I'm gonna video it.
I want to see how you harvest it, what you cut off, and what you leave.
It's my first time. Remember that.
That's okay. I just want to jump in your head, see how you're thinking as you do that.
I do plan to record it for YouTube.
Awesome.
Hi, TC.
And hey, Jason over at Ilk Nerum.
Hi, Jason.
Thank you for joining.
I'm just going to put this back.
All right. Go ahead, LeeAnne. And I want
to defend myself on why I haven't started my tomato seeds. All right.
Share.
My frost date is May 15th. My husband truly believes. Where'd that happen? All right. I thought I heard an echo. But anyway, my husband believes that temperatures below 55 degrees harm the tomato plants. So we typically do not plant them until Memorial Day or even later sometimes, just so they stay above 55 degrees. So if you start them before now, it's going to be more than 8 weeks and they're going to be leggy. Or you got to keep transplanting the bigger pots. So to save all that frustration, this is the time for me to plant tomatoes from seed.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, everybody, does it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, like last year, we had the best seedlings we ever had. And that was because we finally figured out heat mat, full spectrum, and a fan. So that's why we're trying to plant them early, because if we can get a more mature plant out in the garden, I'm hoping we can actually get an early girl, maybe in July versus August, September, because like last year we did better, believe it or not. The year before that, tomatoes in September, they were all green on the vine, hundreds of them, and we got snow. Gone.
Oh, how disappointing.
That's a lot of mock apple pie.
And I'm not eating green tomato pickled or relished anytime soon again.
There's a mock apple pie recipe.
The green tomatoes are too acidic.
I've never tried it. So
they're good. They're good. They're just acidic and like they wreak havoc with us.
Hey, Kentucky Patriot Prepper. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, and there was somebody new.
And Patricia.
Timothy, right?
Yeah.
Welcome in.
Thank you all for joining us. So, LeeAnne, do you want to share with us your goals and how things are coming along with as they pertain to the 7 Fs? I think you mentioned some future things and some family things that you're focusing on the most right now.
So before the live, I said to Tammy and Lisa, I'm like, I have 2 Fs and they're not part of the 7 Fs. What do I do? Because I need to focus on food and I need to focus on farming, because with farming right now, it's, it's ever changing every day. Like one day your like wheat prices are going to be $7 and next day they're going to be 13. Or, it's going to be a gamble for us to sell our commerce. Like yesterday, my husband was trying to sell a couple loads of corn and he's being told this ridiculous low price. And I'm like, Howard, can we like hold off? He's like, I guess with other commerce, he's like, well, maybe we should hold off. So, we can't plan to have goals with farming because it's ever changing right now. And with food, obviously, it's learning how to preserve what's going to be in my garden and making sure I get the best use of it. Because with my collaboration, we learned that you can can it, but is it going to stay on your shelf for how long?
And are you going to like it?
Yeah, and if you're going to use it or like it. And what I try to show is being able to take what you canned and use it many different ways. Like French onion soup. You can make it as your typical French onion soup, or you can use it for casseroles. You can make
roast.
Roasts or loose meat sandwiches, like just ground hamburger and let it simmer in that. And add cheese on your bun. Yeah. Like from Roseanne. Yeah, Roseanne. That's it. The show Roseanne, how they had the lunchbox.
Oh, yeah.
They had loose meat sandwiches. That's where that's from. So, yeah, just with that example of being able to take one product and make it into many more. And so that's where I went with that collaboration. And I'm glad a lot of people have been doing their own videos on safe food.
Oh, it's awesome. I was looking at yours and I was hearing you talk about the pumpkin, and your husband likes and I was thinking every time I open, and I've never canned pumpkin, I buy cans of pumpkin, or I might make it and use it then, but I've never canned it. But when I have extra, I make pumpkin chai, like a pumpkin chai latte or something with it. So wonderful.
I might have a video like that.
Do you? Yes.
He does.
Pumpkin spice latte.
Hey there, Okie Homestead. Thanks for joining.
And
Hole.
And from the comments that I was getting back, I don't think they heard me. I don't use the whole jar of pumpkin. It turns the mold in my refrigerator. And I was trying to prove with dehydrating it, you save that product for another time.
Yeah.
So
see, it's funny because pumpkin is something we use a lot. I shouldn't say we use a lot here, but when we have it, I can use it up because all the animals can eat it. Otherwise, it's sort of like us having milk. I don't buy dairy milk. I don't buy, no offense, LeeAnne, because I buy half and half. I buy half and half, or I buy whipping cream when I need it. But otherwise, I have the shelf stable milk, which is dairy milk. It's just different, right?
It's just freeze dried.
Right. And, I do that just because, like, milk for the two of us.
Hint, hint. When you get milk cheap, just freeze dry it.
There you go.
So you're shelf stable.
There you go.
And prepared for,
Oh, that's going to be, I want to see that one. I didn't know you could freeze dry milk.
You can freeze dry colostrum for when you have baby calves and they don't have a mom. Instead of going to the feed store to buy their powdered milk replacer.
Awesome.
I apologize. I will be right back. I have a very bad dog that I have to deal with.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry.
Somebody's going in timeout.
I'm seeing people share their growing zones in the chat. We're 6B in Arizona, right here where we're at in Arizona, but I feel like that doesn't say much. I mean,
I'm in 7A.
You're in 7A. Like, you have, you come to this issue of moisture, and we might be 6B, but the dryness up here is something that I have to consider in everything in how I grow it. I see people starting seeds directly in the garden. And when I'm seeing, hey, Drunken Chef Barbecue, thanks for coming in. I'm seeing that and I'm thinking, oh, that's a lot of dirt to water. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm conserving water by starting seeds in my little trays, with the little pods. I use less water and I have to use the netted ones. Because I've tried the kinds that are kind of like an eggshell crate kind of material, and it's too dry here. That was my fail with the tomatoes last year, that I had to start over. But my husband and I use 1 gallon to 1.5 gallons of milk, of milk. Yeah,
Good. Milk does a body good.
Yeah, we don't go through a whole lot of it, but we always have milk in the fridge. But yeah, that's the when you think about zones, there's so many other things to consider. Like, you guys get a lot of moisture up where you're at, right, LeeAnne?
Yeah, we You usually get 3 inches of, well, I don't think I should say that because it won't happen now.
Mm-hmm.
Like we usually get at least 1 to 2 inches every month.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's
like
nice.
the last couple of years, it's been a lot in the spring. Then
Mm-hmm.
we never get anything in August.
Mm-hmm.
But this past summer, my tomatoes got blighted because there was too much rain.
Oh, okay. Totally different problem than what I have to deal with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't tend to have that. So for us, it's kind of like figuring out what we can do, what we can grow, what kind of methods we can try, and it's kind of hard to see there's not a whole lot of high desert gardeners. And I'm saying high desert versus low desert because it's a different beast in the low
Mm-hmm.
desert. They don't have the cold, they don't get the snow. It's just different down there compared to up here where you're in the higher desert. Cindy's place, she's at right about 7,000 feet also,
Wow.
which is kind of cool because so we can kind of watch each other and see what we're each doing and see what works. I feel like, yes, I've got somebody I can bounce off of that has my kind of challenges going on.
I'm at 860.
Oh my goodness. I've heard that those of us that live in the high desert like this, I've heard that when we go down to like lower elevations, that we'll be able to like walk farther and like I guess we're getting like a workout just living our lives up here
And breathing.
And breathing. And I will say when we moved up here, I had some issues with my blood pressure. Just moving up here, it took a while for my body to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Dad, thanks for coming in. But how are your others? So I know you've got that canning collaboration is amazing. I really encourage everybody, go check that out. Look at the playlist of everybody that's doing that too. It is the best info because I'm starting to can. And so y'all are kind of, some of the things I've been thinking about doing, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I won't mess with that. You're saving me some effort there.
That's one thing I wanted to do is help save people time and, money and food.
Yeah. Yes, Cherie, it is very different for northern Arizona to southern Arizona. We get the most snow in the state up here where we're at and near where we're at. There's a couple little towns near us that get even more than us, but we're up here, not too far from Snow Bowl, which is where everybody comes to ski. It's like the biggest skiing spot in the state. But yeah, the Hoodstead. Check out LeeAnne's collaboration she's doing. It is so awesome.
It already has 7,200 plays on my playlist.
Oh my gosh. Wow. 7,200 plays on her playlist. Any canners out there? Is this open to everybody before I go to people? Okay, any canners?
Wow. But make sure you use safe tested recipes. There's one on there that I'm just like ready to say, hey, I'm sorry. A lot of your stuff that you're saying to can is not safe.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that, LP. Those are the kinds of green onions I wanted to stick out in our garden because I'm thinking they'll live. I accidentally left some plants out one night and I lost some. Some of them died, but those lived. And I was like, hey, maybe I could get this box out of my house. Carrying those things in and out is obnoxious.
And making sure with onions, you got to know what onions you can grow in your area. There's short days, long days, and intermediate days. That's also important because my area, I can only grow long days.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. See, it's funny because I've never been able to grow an onion. It's never worked out. Many of the years were because in Asheville, we had the last few years that we were in Asheville, North Carolina, were the rainiest seasons. And literally the onions were swimming in the containers. It was so bad. And I had to keep pouring it out. But I just was on another live right before this, a new channel I found. And they were talking about nitrogen weekly. And the more leaves that you get on the ground, on the plant, means the more layers it had.
Ooh.
Means
so I thought it was the more rings on your onion.
Oh.
So if you have a lot of greens, you have a bigger onion.
Oh, yay.
But
Okay.
nitrogen weekly was what they were talking about it.
Okay.
But Lisa, I wanted to suggest to you to call Dixdale onion people. Do you know who I'm talking about? They might be able to suggest what kind of onions you could grow. Dixdale?
DIX?
Yeah. Dixon. Is it Dixondale? I'll find you a link.
Okay. Awesome.
They would be able to tell you what to grow in your area. They're the largest producer of onions.
Ark Wildman, thanks for coming in. You have a great day too. If you guys haven't checked out Ark Wildman's channel, you should go over there and check him out. He does a lot of foraging. He has some Sunday church things on Sunday and like Wednesdays, and also he cooks over a fire and really shares with us all the things that he cooks. And to me, they're good reminders of, hey, this is like a skill that we all should kind of have, in case we ever need it. And I love that stuff. So thank you for what you do, Ark. Y'all go check him out.
Because you never know when you're going to lose your power.
No, you do. You never know.
And being ready for it is the key.
Uncovered. My garlic's doing awesome. I have like 36 garlic plants out there, and they get snowed on. They're just chugging right through and loving it. Thank you for that, LP. I'm gonna put some out there, and maybe start some more inside too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've always bought onion starts from locally because I assumed we know how that goes, that would help. You know what I mean?
You mean the sets or actual plants?
The sets. Sorry.
Because the sets are second-year plants.
Okay.
And they will flower. They'll go to seed. They'll bolt. So what we've done is actually get plants.
Oh.
And one year we actually started from seed, and my husband's like, "Oh, these things will never work for us." Well, guess what? They worked. Because the seeds are so tiny. Like
they are.
Seeds, so you have to start them inside and thin them out.
Mm-hmm. That's what I do, though. I've only grown them from seed. I've never grown an onion any other way.
I put a bunch in the containers that I have in the greenhouse, but they're the green onions.
Like the scallion. Well, not scallion. But, we call them spring onions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some people call them bunching. I don't know if that's the same, but they're green onions. That was it.
Yep.
Plain.
Yep.
I love those.
That's why I have the bunching onions, and they're green onions, Lisa.
Yeah.
I like just to dip them in salt and eat them that way. Eat them raw. Diesel, you and me are going to have a talk after this live.
So, LeeAnne, as we, and I know you have like a book that you keep and everything that you've also shared a video on your channel about your goal setting. Yep. There it is.
This is just the gardening section. And awesome. in this book, I've documented from last year where I got the seed and how much it was, which might be able to joke this year. And that's going to help me plan my garden this year. But unfortunately, I've already found out I can't get potatoes from where I got them last year from my deacon's church. The deacon at my church's feed store. He told me that they can't order anything from Agway because Agway is about broke. So I have to go find potato seeds elsewhere.
That's a shame. Agway. Well, when I lived in New York, Agway was always a great store. Stay safe, Dillhole. Hey, I just want to apologize for the bulldog situation. I do not mean to be rude.
It's life.
I know it's life, but I do want to apologize because we have a guest and I feel bad. So I'm sorry, LeeAnne, and our guests.
All right.
I apologize.
All right.
He's literally eating a peanut butter bone and knocked it underneath the cable modem, which is mounted to the wall, and he's knocking into it and before he's behind the stove. Anyway.
You're good, 19. Sorry I missed you. And thank you for joining us. One of our Shed Wars friends there.
So it's so much easier to plan your garden if you document what you've had from the year before. And even with your canning, like Becoming a Farm Girls video in my collaboration. She shares how you can journal your canning, so you remember how much you can be and analyze it from that. Which I have a spreadsheet and thought I was up in my game with my canning doing that. No, she has a printable canning journal for you.
Wow.
Available on her blog.
That is one thing I need to get better about, is documenting seed start dates, germination dates, that dates that I put them in the garden. But I'm hoping, I'm like you, I have a book here too, and it's not as fancy as yours, but I'm trying to use that to help document my dates. The hard part is I'm going to have to flip through. I need to up my game a little bit on that this year.
I mean, you can't remember from year to year. I mean, maybe my husband can, because I don't know, he can. But I just want to be able to document when I start stuff and go with, the change of the wind. And it's been so windy here lately. Like, it's not uncommon to have 25-mile-per-hour winds here.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now. I'm like, when's it going to stop? So, you have to take those into consideration. And sometimes I like to write down just the weather conditions every day in my planner.
Oh, no kidding.
Just, I don't know, maybe it's just from me being, a fast food manager. We would actually write down the conditions, because you're going to have more sales on a sunny 72-degree day than you are a day it's a blizzard. So when you're scheduling your hours for your people, you want to make sure you have enough for, what might be the weather for that year, or vice versa, if it was a bad year versus what it's going to be.
That's an excellent point, because the year before we moved was a wet year, and there was some flooding here. Since that time, and I know, LeeAnne, we've talked about it, but I can't even remember the last time we had a steady drizzle. I can't. We've had 3 sprinkles and it stops, hail or snow. So, that's really cool to talk about weather conditions, because if you have a year where your plants did awful, you can make that correlation if you have it documented. If your plants did great, you can document it. But if you have that, you'll forget that wet year, and consider it just, like every other dry year for me anyway.
Yeah.
Like for me, while you were gone, Lisa, I said about how I got half of my tomato crop that I usually do because we had rain and they all got blighted.
Yep.
But that's when I had cinnamon vanilla, so it was all good. So
yep.
It all worked out.
It does. I mean,
So, yeah. What else did I want to cover?
Hi, Jason.
So, for the future, what goals can we set? Realistic.
Are you?
I'm being the host now. No, I'm just kidding.
Extending my growing season.
And last year we tried to take cylinders. What? I'm tripping over my words right now.
Cylindrical?
No, they're cement blocks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cinder blocks. There we go.
Cinder blocks.
Yeah.
We took cinder blocks, put old glass windows on top, and then insulated it with straw around that to create a greenhouse for our lettuce to let it grow longer. And we almost had lettuce till Christmas. And which
So it worked.
So yeah, we got a longer growing season.
Curious, what was the coldest temperature that you had when you did that? Do you recall?
Well, it got pretty cold. I think it finally died at like 0 degrees.
Okay.
Like, it got pretty cold here.
It could handle probably the teens, anything above 10 maybe.
It probably could just handle the 20s, but this year was a cold year for us. Because I was saying to Lisa all winter, I'm like, this is crazy. I don't remember temperatures like this. I'm like, it probably gets below 20 here on a good year.
Yep. Yeah, you dealt with some really sub-zero temps there and some issues on the farm, so it's a lot.
Yeah. Don't want to relive that again.
No. But see, that's a prime example of you tried something different, and it makes a huge difference, because if you don't get the frost on the leaves, right, or you have that warmth in there. And that's what I was saying about our greenhouse, being able to put a heater in there at night. That's a trade-off, because you know what that means. I'm going to have frozen waters in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
But it's worth it to try, because as long as we're not getting the really brutally cold weather, I can break the ice in the morning on a pig waterer.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a long time to freeze, and they're snoozing by then. You know, but I think it's important that we all do things like that, you know.
Yeah.
Because as LeeAnne knows, I mean, weather is a huge part of all the stuff that we're doing.
And that's why farming is such a gamble.
Right.
People don't realize how thankful we are when we get the yields that we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it, you know, on a very small scale, right? The bok choy, I could have screwed up and let that go longer. It's not a big deal. I'll be fine. I just saw the flowers and I went, that's not right. But you know what? It's okay. Like, I think that's a lot of the thing is people think when they do their goals have to be just huge and sky's the limit and ultra amazing. It could be something really silly like LeeAnne knows this because she held me accountable, and so did Tammy. Clean out this darn room. Yeah. I mean, forgive the mess behind it because I'm freezer shuffling and mattress shuffling, and I need to go take stuff to a dump when it's open. But
I thought that was Diesel's new hotel.
No. We're getting rid of a bed. but that's the thing. You can't you just have to do stuff, you know, and it could just be something as simple as I'm going to get up 5 times a day and walk in a circle.
Yeah.
As a fitness goal. It doesn't need to be I'm going to run a marathon. Like, that's just unrealistic. And you're going to set yourself up to fail, and then you're going to feel bad about yourself. That's the last thing you need. Ooh, nice.
Wow.
This place.
That's awesome. I have killed every spinach I've tried to grow. I'm trying to grow some hydroponically now.
Are you Chuck?
That's what I was about to say. I don't know if she knows the reference.
I don't think I know
Thanks,
the
LP. Life with Blinda and Chuck. He's got a video on
Death of the
spinach.
You have to watch it, Tammy.
You got it.
I love their videos. Oh my gosh.
You have to watch that one. That's the first one I watched. Then fell in love and shared it on my Facebook.
I'm writing that down.
I will, LP. That's a good idea. They're very, very tiny, nothing big. And like I said, I'm going to harvest it all tonight and saute it all up. LeeAnne might want some for some soups to can.
Does anybody have any questions for LeeAnne?
I just love canning Swiss chard. I wonder if anybody actually, I knew some people actually got my joke when I was talking about Swiss chard and loving to can it. Some people didn't. They're like, I don't know about canning Swiss chard.
I just couldn't see the reason. I might dehydrate it like I've done that with kale and then thrown it in just because it was a good way to get some good stuff. Although it would have been better with butter.
See, freezer space, since we only have one big freezer, it is occupied by, supper, as in the steer that was named Supper. So the freezer is high-end real estate. So anything that is grown in the garden has to be canned if possible. So, yeah. So, and it's so much easier to open a can of greens than to freeze them and then thaw them out, then try to figure out what to use them for.
Yep. I agree.
Hey, Tiny Tim Posey.
Hey, Tim.
And you get to be creative when it comes to greens that are canned. Like I said in the video.
Oh, go ahead.
About the casserole chicken Florentine. And I do stuffed chicken breast that's a mayonnaise and Parmesan cheese based filling that has Swiss chard in it. My husband likes that.
That sounds good.
So yeah.
I have a question about the French onion soup with the
Yeah.
beef. What was that? You said earlier with ground beef and French onion soup?
You mean the loose meat sandwiches?
Yeah.
You just brown your hamburger and put a little bit of the French onion soup in there and just simmer it. Then you scoop your meat out and put it in your hamburger roll or your sub roll and slap some provolone cheese on there and maybe some Gruyere and just let that. I'm talking about this while I'm not have lunch yet.
Oh my!
Then you put it under the broiler and let the cheese just melt. I say it's better. Wait, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I don't know how loud I should say this. It's better than Philly cheesesteak.
No,
oh my!
And you don't have to chew. It just melts in your mouth.
Oh wow!
So tender. I mean, Philly cheesesteaks, you have to chomp at it.
Are you hearing this, honey?
Yes,
we're gonna be having for dinner.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go run out and get some.
That is so simple.
LP has a question for you.
Okay.
What's the best way to store empty jars while you wait to can more? And what's the best way to sanitize with no dishwasher?
Sanitizing, you don't have to do as long as you are processing for more than 10 minutes.
Explain that, please.
When you're canning in a pressure canner, you don't have to sterilize your jars anymore before you fill them up. You just have to make sure they're clean.
What about water bath?
Like, I think as long as you have them, as long as it's 10 minutes in a water bath, I might have to research this, but I'm pretty sure if you're processing any kind of food in a water bath or pressure canning, you don't have to sterilize.
Huh.
That's what they say. So dishwasher is a no-no, actually.
Why?
I don't remember, but I've been told it's a no-no.
Because of the water on it that sits on the jars sometimes?
Or if you keep opening the dishwasher door and the heat escapes and it's not true. I just leave my jars in my hot soapy sink water because it's like 120 some degrees. And when I'm ready to fill up the jar, I just take the jar from the sink, rinse it out really, really good, then fill the jar and put it in the canner.
So you just do hot soapy water, let them sit, you scrub them, let them sit, and then rinse them out really good with hot water, and then fill it.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know.
And don't ever put your empty jars in the oven at a low temperature. And I'll tell you why.
I was going to say, why would you even do that?
People do it. People still do it. I think
they do it to maintain a temperature.
They think
to keep them warm.
But the thing is, those jars are meant for wet heat, not dry heat.
Oh, okay.
Your jars will crack.
Oh.
That's why dry canning is so dangerous that people think they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just, like putting flour in them and putting them in the oven with the canning lid on it, and they think it's going to seal that way. That is so dumb.
LP wants to know, what if you're water bathing for under 10 minutes?
What needs under 10 minutes?
Is that due to elevation or no? I don't know much about it.
I don't know what gets canned that's under 10 minutes of water bathing.
I'm at a high elevation, so everything gets canned forever, apparently.
I think like you can boil your jars for like 5 minutes on the stove if you really want to be anal about it. Well, I mean, I'm not saying anal, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, just boil the jars on the stove in a big stock pot if you really feel like you need to make sure that they are free of anything. Yeah, don't take me the wrong way.
No, we don't take you the wrong way. You're just being real about it, and you're passionate about the subject, and I love that about you.
Yeah.
So
eligible.
And I don't want to steer anybody in the wrong direction either. So yeah.
No, and that's why I really respect you, because of the fact that you are very passionate about food safety and you're certified and everything like that. And
yeah, most people don't even know that. I've been being a restaurant manager. I've been food safety certified. understanding how it is to handle foods.
Yeah.
The temperatures of what stuff should be stored at what stage of the flow of food. It's all very important to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with potatoes, the danger foods like potatoes and meats and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, here we go.
No, not at all.
Jams and jellies at low elevation that can at less than 10 minutes.
I figured Tony would have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I think everything I can will take forever.
So in that respect, yeah, just boil your jars for 5 minutes, and that will kill anything.
Yep.
I used to try to put them in the turkey roaster. Oh, that was just a hot mess. I'm like, why bother?
I have a question. So I think it's important for folks to understand why, like, you're passionate about food safety practices, and I just want to know, why is it that you follow all the things that are food safety versus all these other canning recipes that are out there that we see on YouTube?
Because you're risking having pathogens in your body, or there's not enough talk about botulism or E. coli in home cooking, right? We all talk about the suppliers of lettuce or tomatoes that have listeria. Mm-hmm. But what happens in your kitchen? We all need to be educated more on what that is all about. We're all cooking more in our kitchens more than ever, right? Yeah. So we need to understand that baking your potatoes, leaving them on the counter for 4 hours to cool, is a huge no-no. Mm-hmm. Then versus, cooking them and putting them directly in the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm. I think that I'm going to venture to say that a lot of us in home kitchens are the worst offenders of poor practices and risking our chance of getting food poisoning is the reality, right? Because you see you go to cookouts and people have the food out for a long time and there's flies on it in the summertime, or they think that putting those netting things on there is good. Like, I'm not knocking anybody. We've all done it at one point or another.
We just want you to be aware.
We just want you to be aware. And that's one thing I can tell you that I have learned as the years have gone on. All my food gets served inside. If you want to go outside and get it, that's fine. Covers are on everything because I have flies here from pigs. So. But food gets put away. You know what I mean? It's easy to lose sight of that.
And that's why I buy containers that you can put an ice pack underneath of it. Like Pampered Chef has a container where you can put an ice pack underneath in the bowl to put like potato salad in, so it stays at a lower temperature for a longer period of time.
Yep. Agreed, Pam. Not taught in school.
And that's
good to know.
And that's something more I wanted to talk about on my channel. If I can get the whole, I don't know. I've researched food safety videos out on YouTube. There's not many there. I'm like, is it because the subject's boring or just no one actually thinks about it?
I would love to see some of those videos. I'm thinking people aren't thinking about it.
And Daz and I were talking about a collaboration, but we need to get him motivated because Daz is trained in food safety from being a professional chef.
I can tell you that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was like, with our personalities and being funny, maybe people would actually be more engaged to listen to us.
Yeah, if you make it funny, like Portage View Farms does a lot on Instagram, and I guess they do TikTok also. And I guess one of the things they were saying, and I don't want to take it out of context, and I know we're out of time, but they were talking about getting a lot of feedback from TikTok saying that people could use their Instapots to can, people could do this, they could do that. And they seem very hardcore to me, not being a canner, but they seem very hardcore as they turned around and they're like, when in doubt, throw it out. Follow the recipes. No, you can't water bath meat. That kind of thing. They were going
water bath beans.
And they were saying TikTok was a bigger place or a bigger venue that they got a lot more information that was so incorrect compared to like Instagram. So it was interesting.
Yeah. Hey, Charles, Farland, Arkansas veterans. Thanks for joining us.
So maybe sometime.
Ready to wrap up, but does anybody have any question? Wait, I see one. Oh, just a comment. Do some tips as shorts. That would be awesome. I would be interested in that, LeeAnne. Does anybody have any questions for LeeAnne or any of us? Or LeeAnne, anything else you want to share?
I think I'm good. Because I feel like if I'm going to a tangent, we'll be here all day. And,
You can come over and take care of my bulldog and go on your tangent.
Okay. Diesel and I will have a talk.
Yeah, he's really getting on my nerves today.
You didn't have me playing in the background. That was your issue.
Yeah, I mean.
Diesel has a crush on me.
He does.
I love Diesel.
He wakes up and he's like underneath the seat thing again.
We love bulldogs. Oh, he is adorable. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for coming. And thank you again, LeeAnne, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, LeeAnne.
With you, and I'm loving that collaboration. Everybody, I hope y'all, if you haven't already, go over and check out LeeAnne's channel at Mennonite Farmhouse. Everybody have a wonderful and blessed day. And next week at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, we will be on Lisa's channel. And our guest next week is going to be, double check myself here. We'll have Blue Feather Homestead. So we'll be chatting with her next week on Lisa's channel, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Tuesday, the 29th. Y'all have a good one. We'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.